pleasant day, everyone. My name is Nizel May Lumor, a student of Davao Winchester Colleges Incorporated, taking up the course of Bachelor of Science in Criminology, 3rd year, Section 2. And now I'm just going to present my oral video presentation in the subject CLG2, the Human Rights, instructed by Ma'am Laninhara Lacabalurin. And now I'm just going to discuss the following topics. First is the importance of human rights to law enforcement. In the performance of their duty, law enforcement officials shall respect and protect human dignity and maintain and uphold the human rights of all persons, states Article 2 of the United Nations Human Rights Office of the High Commissioner Code of Conduct for Law Enforcement Officials of 1979. Law enforcement, often seen as the mediator between legal structure and social condition, has been under free internationally on the basis of not fulfilling its mandate to protect. Instances like racially motivated police brutality in the United States or police brutality in the forcible removal of Palestinians from their property have sparked international civilian outrage against law enforcement. Theodore Roosevelt captures this dilemma, concisely stating order without liberty and liberty without order are equally destructive. What are human rights? Human rights are norms that aspire to protect all people everywhere from severe political, legal, and social abuses. These rights are afforded to every individual purely on the basis that they are human, they are universal and inalienable, and they cannot be taken away. The UDHR's preamble emphasizes that human rights should be protected by the rule of law. Article 28 explicitly states everyone is entitled to a social and international order in which the rights and freedoms set forth in this declaration can be fully realized. The order most commonly references law enforcement, those put in power to ensure order. What is law enforcement? The Bureau of Justice Statistics defines law enforcement as the agencies and employees responsible for enforcing laws, maintaining public order, and managing public safety. Other organizations such as Amnesty International describe law enforcement officials as those who exercise police powers, particularly of arrest and detention. With so many articles passed specifically for law enforcement work, one can deduce that there lies an important relationship between human rights and law enforcement. The importance of human rights in law enforcement. Local policing is on the front stage of the legal system and invested with a considerable discretion in determining balance order with liberty. The police are meant to enforce, and protect the rights of the community while simultaneously practicing and ensuring they adhere to the laws. The United Nations Professional Training Series number 5 highlights the problems of the myth within law enforcement training, the insistence on bending the rules to ensure the law is upheld. From forcibly ending demonstrations to removing individuals from their property to torturing detainees, law enforcement without human rights taken into consideration is lethal to the realization of a world with inalienable human rights. It goes on to recommend education as necessary means to ensure law enforcement officials know they are enforcing. Law enforcement must work to dispel the bending the rules mentality, or we are at risk of an assault on human dignity and a barrier to effective policing. The importance of education. At UCDHR, we similarly recognize the importance of education and effecting change through our human rights consultant training course. Students are taught the foundations of human rights and provide with the necessary tools to implement these lessons in their own life, their work, and their communities. We believe that education is an important methodology to ensuring a positive relationship between human rights and law enforcement. Such a relationship is important to effectively ensure a change in our communities universally. In a relationship meant to promote our evolution to a world with inalienable recognized rights, our law enforcement is an important factor in our road to success. Police body of officers representing the civil authority of government Police typically are responsible for maintaining public order and safety, enforcing the law, and preventing, detecting, and investigating criminal activities. These functions are known as policing. PNP vision, imploring the aid of Almighty God. By 2030, we shall be a highly capable, effective, and credible police service working in partnership with a responsive community towards the attainment of a safer place to live, work, and do business. PNP core values: service, honor, and justice. PNP motto: we serve and protect. PNP mission: lofty and noble but demanding and difficult, can be pursued only by an organization firmly grounded on core values and a clear philosophy. That philosophy is framed by service, honor, and justice, and the PNP core values, which are makadiyos, makabayan, makatao, and makakalikasan. Terminology: absolute right, a right that is so fundamental that can never be interfered with. For example, the right not to be tortured. Age, where this is referred to, it refers to persons belonging to a particular age. Bill, a draft act still being considered by a parliament. Civil and political rights, the rights of individuals to liberty and equality, sometimes referred to as first-generation rights. Civil and political rights include freedom to worship, freedom of thought and expression, to vote, to take part in political life such as voting, to freely associate, and to have access to information. Convention, a type of treaty or formal agreement between the country leaders, politicians, states on a matter which involves them all. This is a binding agreement that states are obliged to uphold, but it usually does not have any legal force and individuals are not usually able to take action. Covenant, another type of treaty, a binding agreement to do or keep from doing a specified thing. Examples include the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights developed by the UN and enforced since 1976. Council of Europe, an organization that was founded in 1949 with the aim to develop common and democratic principles throughout Europe based on the European Convention on Human Rights. Declaration, a document agreeing upon certain standards but one that is not legally binding, for example, the UDHR. Diverse, widely varied in the sense of diverse population, people are from a range of backgrounds, ethnicities, and cultures. Direct discrimination, this refers to less favorable treatment against an individual because of that person's protected characteristics. Dignity, a value owed to all humans to be treated with respect. Disability, a person has a disability if she has a physical or mental impairment which has a substantial and long-term adverse effect on that person's ability to carry out normal day-to-day activities. Economic, social, and cultural rights, rights that concern the production, development, and management of material for the necessities of life, rights that give people social and economic security, sometimes referred to as security-oriented or second-generation rights. Equality, equality is about ensuring that every individual has an equal opportunity to make the most of their lives and talents, and believing that no one should have poorer life chances because of where, what, or whom they were born or because of other characteristics. Gender reassignment, the process of transitioning from one gender to another. Harassment, unwanted conduct related to a protected characteristic that has the purpose or effect of violating a person's dignity or creates an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment. Human rights. Human rights are the basic rights and freedoms to which all humans are entitled. They ensure people can live freely and that they have able to flourish, reach their potential, and participate in society. Identity, the characteristics and qualities of a person considered collectively and regarded as essential to that person's self-awareness. Inalienable, something that cannot be taken away. We have human rights simply because we are human. We cannot give these rights away, nor can they be taken from us by anybody. And direct discrimination, this is when a provision, criterion, or practice is applied in a way that creates disproportionate disadvantage for a person with a protected characteristic as compared to those who do not share the characteristics, and that this is not proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim. Indivisible, something that cannot be divided. There are many different types of human rights: civil and political, economic, social, and cultural, and the principle of these rights being indivisible means that they are inextricably linked. Justice, the moral principle ensuring fairness and reasonableness in the way people are treated, as well as the administration of the law and the authority in maintaining this process. Legal rights, rights are laid down in law and can be defended and brought before courts of law. Legislation, law made by the UK Parliament, the Scottish Parliament, and the Welsh Assembly. Limited right, a right that can be restricted only in some strictly defined circumstances. The right to liberty can only be restricted in certain circumstances. For example, if you have been convicted of a crime or are mentally ill and pose a serious risk of harm to yourself or to others. Marriage and civil partnership. Marriage is defined as a union between a man and a woman. Same-sex couples can have their relationships legally recognized as civil partnerships. Positive action. Lawful action that seeks to overcome or minimize disadvantages that people who share a protected characteristic have experienced or to meet their different needs, providing mentoring to encourage staff from underrepresented groups to apply for promotion. Positive discrimination. Treating someone with a protected characteristic more favorably to counteract the effects of a past discrimination. It is generally not lawful, although the duty to make reasonable adjustment is an exception where treating a disabled person more favorably may be required by law, so it is legitimate to provide reasonable adjustments which favor of a disabled person. Pregnancy and maternity. Pregnancy is the condition of being pregnant or expecting a baby. Maternity refers to the period after the birth and is linked to maternity leave in the employment context. Prejudice. Judging someone without knowing them on the basis of what they look like or what group they belong to. All black people are good dancers. Primary legislation. An act of parliament that goes through a full process of scrutiny by both the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Protected characteristics. These are the grounds upon which discrimination is unlawful. The characteristics are age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, sex and sexual orientation. Protocol, a newly treaty which modifies another treaty or generally adding additional procedures or some substantive provisions. Public authority, organizations and individuals that carry out public functions. This would include government departments, local authority, health authorities and hospitals, schools, prisons and the police, for example. Public bodies or non-departmental. Public bodies are defined as bodies which have a role in the process of national government but are not government department of a part of one. They operate to a greater or lesser extent at arm's length from ministers and include the Equality and Human Rights Commission. Public sector equality duty. The duty on a public authority when carrying out its function to have a due regard to the need to eliminate unlawful discrimination, harassment and victimization, foster good relations and advance equality of opportunity. Qualified right. A right that can be restricted in circumstances where it is in the interest of the wider community. For example, the right to freedom of expression. Race. Refers to the protected characteristic of race. It refers to a group of people defined by the race, color, and nationality, including citizenship, ethnic, or national origins. Racism, treating someone unfairly because of the race, color, nationality, or ethnic or national origins. Ratify the formal procedures by state to finalize an agreement, convention, or treaty, making it official and binding. Reasonable adjustment. The duty on schools to make reasonable adjustments requires schools to take positive steps to ensure that disabled pupils can fully participate in education provided by the school and that they can enjoy the other benefits, facilities, and services which a schools provided for pupils. Respect, taking into account the views and desires of others in how you treat people. Religion or belief. Religion is the meaning usually given to it, but belief includes religious and philosophical beliefs, including lack of belief or atheism. Generally, a belief should affect your life choices or the way you live for it to be included in the definition. Right? A right is a moral or legal entitlement to have or do something. Sex, a man or a woman. Sexual orientation, whether a person's sexual attractions is towards their own sex, the opposite sex, or to both sexes. State, often synonymous with country, a group of people permanently occupying a fixed territory having common laws and government capable of conducting international affairs. Stereotypes, thinking all people who belong to a certain group are the same and labeling them. All young people who wear hoodies or hugs are thugs, and all effeminate men are gay. Transgender, an umbrella term for people whose gender identity and or gender expression differs from their birth sex. They may or may not seek to undergo gender reassignment, including hormonal treatment and or surgery, often used interchangeably with trans. Treaty, a written agreement between two or more states formally approved and signed by their leaders or between the UN and a member state. And that would be all for the topics about the human rights.